Troops in your city? You may have noticed more National Guard units in local parks, near federal buildings, or on standby in state capitals. In 2025, the National Guard is being used in ways many Americans haven't seen in decades. Today, we dive into the Guard's history, what's changed, the pushback by states, and how this impacts you, citizens, taxpayers, and residents alike. The National Guard serves a dual role, as state-controlled units under governors for local emergencies, and as federally mobilized forces when needed for national defense. Historically, Guard deployments in the U.S. have included responses to natural disasters, civil unrest, and overseas deployments. Under typical practice, a governor requests Guard help for their state. But federal law, such as the Insurrection Act of 1807, also allows the president to call in Guard or other military forces under special circumstances. So the Guard has been in your community for relief, response, even local emergencies. But the new pattern is shifting. In 2025, a major change. The Pentagon has issued a directive for the National Guard to form quick reaction forces in all states and territories. These forces are being trained not just for disaster relief, but crowd control, rapid deployment, and possibly cross-state movement. Why? The stated reasons include protecting federal property, responding to civil disturbances, and supporting immigration or border operations. The shift from strictly disaster or overseas missions to domestic rapid response is significant. The Pentagon memo calls for about 23,500 troops nationwide to be trained in riot control techniques, shields, batons, formation tactics, by January 2026. From a citizen's point of view, the Guard may be transitioning from just disaster relief into urban domestic security operations, which raises new questions. With change comes pushback. Several states and governors are resisting. Some governors say deployments without their consent violate state sovereignty and the 10th Amendment. Governing a federal judge blocked a deployment in Illinois, ruling there was no credible evidence of rebellion and citing constitutional concerns. AP News Oklahoma's GOP governor criticized out-of-state Guard troops being sent into Illinois and Oregon, even though he supports national security efforts. AP News. A national survey found less than a quarter of Americans believe the president should deploy the National Guard in a state without the governor's consent. States United Democracy Center. In other words, legally and politically, these deployments are contentious. It's not just about troops on standby. It's about who controls them, what they're used for, and when. What does this shift mean for you, your community, your state? A few key ways: public safety and community trust. Guard troops in local neighborhoods can reassure some residents, but can also raise concerns of militarized policing and civil liberties trade-offs. Across the culture state budget and taxpayer impact. Deployments mean extra costs for states, equipment, overtime, training, or the federal government stepping in. Either way, funds come from somewhere. State sovereignty and local control. If authorities bypass governors or send troops across state lines, the balance between federal and state power shifts, with possible long-term consequences. Community perception and civic climate. When the Guard is used for crowd control or immigration operations, some communities, especially minority or protest-prone ones, may feel targeted, reducing trust in institutions. Everyday readiness and emergency response. The Guard still is about disaster relief, but if large chunks of units are earmarked for quick reaction forces, will they be available for natural disasters, local emergencies, or remain busy in urban deployments? Here are concrete cases. Los Angeles, June 2025. The Pentagon deployed 700 Marines and 2,000 National Guard troops amid protests over immigration raids, reportedly the first deployment without full state consent in over 60 years. Washington, D.C., August 2025. Hundreds of Guard members were activated to protect federal property. Some local residents and officials objected that the move was politically motivated. Chicago, Illinois. October 2025. The administration attempted to send Texas National Guard troops into Chicago. Illinois filed lawsuit and a judge temporarily blocked the move. These examples show how deployments can become flashpoints: legal battles, state-federal conflict, local community pushback. For citizens, this means what's typically emergency relief now intersects with law enforcement and civil order tools. To wrap up, the National Guard remains vital for disasters and emergencies. But in 2025, we're seeing a shift toward domestic rapid response, cross-state deployments, and crowd control roles. Many states and citizens are pushing back, citing legal rights, budgets, and civil liberties. As a citizen, you should watch for Guard presence in your city-state and the stated role who authorized it, governor versus federal, cost and accountability, how the mission is explained, and whether there's transparency community impact, how local residents feel, and what safeguards exist. This isn't just military news. It's about the balance of power in our federal system, public safety strategy, and how we as Americans expect our government to work. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe for more breakdowns of how policy affects your daily life.